GameCola faithful, and welcome to the GameCola podcast. This is podcast number 115, and I am your host and podcast commander, Joseph Martin. With me today, we have...
I'm Anna Bryniarski, GameCola's social media trash queen.
Hello world, I'm Branclif.
Hi there, GameCola, it's Colee, and I'm going to try not to get everybody sick today.
Hi, I'm John. I'm GameCola's YouTube content creator.
And I'm still Joseph Martin. We circled back around. It came full circle. And you know what else came full circle? A year ago, we talked about what we thought was going to happen with the Nintendo Switch, and gosh golly gee, it now exists, and we also now all have one, even though it's been out since like March. But we all have it, or have played it now. It took us a while, but I mean, that's just GameCola for you. Am I right, folks?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So, to start things off, I guess let's start in chronological order, which means that we'll talk about just trying to go through game releases in order and based on what people will be most interested in hearing. Breath of the Wild. Who's played Breath of the Wild?
Me.
Hi.
Okay, so Anna Colee, what do you think about Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild?
It's good.
Don't you mean Legend of Zelda Horse of the Wild? Because that's literally all I do, is get the horses.
Horses.
They are awesome. I love them, and I don't know. I was trying to get this one, and it wouldn't let me get it because I didn't have enough stamina, and I'm like, alright, screw you, horse. I'm gonna go do the rest of my objectives. But as I was like flying off on my paraglider, it headbutted me out of the sky, and I died. I fell down a mountain and died.
I'm still very confused about what exactly you were trying to accomplish
I was trying
with the horse
to
and also
tame
flying.
the horse.
While flying?
Well,
No.
no, I was flying away because I was done trying it because it was not having any of my shit.
Oh, okay. And then the horse flew up and killed you.
I was like just in the range that apparently if it went on its back legs and headbutted, it hit me, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I died.
Okay, just another, we're just going to go quickly through these, because I think most people have heard about, like, games, and we can circle back around to, because I think they'll come back up in games we've been playing, but I just want to quickly go through the games and what we think of them so that everybody has sort of a standard of, like, where we are with the Switch before we start talking about, like, the console itself. So, the other one that I heard a lot of people playing was Puyo Puyo Tetris, which, is that any different on the Switch than any other Puyo Puyo Tetris sort of situation, question mark?
So, it turns out it was on the 3DS as well, but it just did not get localized. And from what I've seen on the Switch and the 3DS, it is basically the same.
I didn't even know it was on 3DS.
So, well, I guess if it was a localized, though, no one around here, these parts, would have played it then.
Yeah, I think its 3DS version is Japan only.
It's a lot harder than it looks, though. It really
Yes! It is deceptively challenging.
I'm really bad at it.
Did you beat the game?
No.
For anyone who's not familiar, what is the structure of Puyo Puyo Tetris? Because it's kind of like Tetris, but a puzzle game, sort of, right? Or
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, you could say Tetris already is a puzzle game, but it's a lot of things because it's a crossover game. So sometimes you are playing Puyo Puyo, sometimes you are playing Tetris, sometimes you're fighting someone and one of you is playing one and one of you is playing the other, and sometimes you're actually playing a weird fusion of both. There's a lot to it.
But it's not at the same time. Like, basically what will happen, you'll have, like, the board, and it's a Tetris board, but then, like, it does a countdown, and then you swap to your other board that has Puyo on it.
Oh, later on in the game, there is actually a fusion of both on the same board. It's that's what I thought exactly, and it is horrendously difficult.
Oh god.
So just real quick, for those, because I think most people are familiar with Tetris if they're listening to a podcast about video games. But Puyo Puyo might be a little bit outside of certain people's range of expertise. So what exactly is that, very briefly?
So if you have played Kirby's Avalanche or Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, that is exactly what it is.
Okay, and if
Did that go
you
over
haven't
everyone's head?
played those games,
Oh dear, I don't know how to describe it in words. Colee, you do it.
So it's kind of like you have, well, they're called Puyos. They're like these little circly things. Like they kind of like are jelly-ish, and they're colors. Like so, there's yellow, red, blue, and green, and I think you have to clear 4.
Yes.
And when you like connect 4 of a color together, it disappears like, a line of Tetris blocks would when you make a line. And it just goes from there. The Puyos fall unlike Tetris blocks, which just hang there when you clear. But the Puyos actually like fall so you can still have a chance of clearing things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Usually what you want to try doing is when you clear a group of Puyos, any that are on top of it will drop as well, and you can kind of form like a combo if you plan it out well, but it's kind of hard to do because you need to like train your eyes to see it. But anyways, you try to go for a big combo, and the more Puyos you can clear in one move, the more damage you do to the other player. I don't know how to describe it. If you can do a long combo, you drop like garbage Puyos on top of them, and those are harder to get rid of.
All right. Well, so is there anything like Switch specific for that game, or is it just sort of like you can also play this game on Switch and that's just an option?
There's a lot of different controller settings, but that's about it.
Yeah.
All right, and then the last game we want to talk about real quick, and then we'll circle around, I'm sure, and talk about it some more because I have a lot to say about it. Super Mario Odyssey. Let's do
It's
the
so
Odyssey.
It's so good. I actually prefer the other song, and I'm not gonna say what I mean by the other song, but I'm sure you guys know.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's very good. It's a very good video game.
It's so good.
And I mean, that's just what I keep telling people. Like people are like, "How's Mario Odyssey?" And I'm just like, "It's a very good video game."
It's, I think, one of the like top-rated games ever.
Yeah, it's getting like 10 out of 10s on all of the things. I would still
Yes.
give it a
Yes.
9 out of 10. If I don't think I'm gonna end up being one of the people writing a review for it, but I would, if I were to write a review for it, I would give it a 9 out of 10. There are a couple things that I'm like, I think the camera's a little weird. I think they keep it in a little close. And in a game about looking around at stuff, I think they did it intentionally so that you had to move the camera more so that you could look around at stuff.
Also,
Oh, that's
they
witty.
have those camera things too that you can use Cappy to control and then look around. Like you don't like the
I like
binocular
those.
things?
Yeah, they're binoculars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just mean like in general though, walking around, like it's a little close, and a lot of time I feel like I'm not fighting the camera as you would in like a early 3D video game. It's not like that. It's just like a little close, and I find it's a little hard to like put the camera where I want to see, but then also like move around seamlessly. In Mario Galaxy, they pulled the camera back out a lot further from you, and so it was a lot easier to see where you're going. But I guess the game was, also the game was more linear, so they could sort of auto put the camera in places that were convenient. So I understand the challenge. I just think they put it a little close just to sort of make it harder to find things because you can't see as much, so you have to do more exploring, which makes sense. But it was definitely a little frustrating at first. I mean, it's a very good video game, guys.
Yes. Yes.
I like
There's
some of the things that they actually did with it.
So much content in this video game. I think
So much to do.
to beat the game, you only need to complete about 1/8 of the content in it, I think.
Yeah.
That sounds about right, yeah.
Which is not a lot. Like, I've spent way more time in the post game than I did in the main game. I mean, speedruns of Mario Odyssey are like an hour and a half.
But yeah, it's like super easy to like breeze through it if like that's all you're doing. Like in some of the worlds that I didn't particularly like have too much of an interest in, I just got the required moons that I needed and just left.
Desert Kingdom.
That one wasn't so bad. I'm trying to think of which one. It was like the jungle one.
You didn't like that one? Oh,
Not it like I do like it, but at first I was like, eh.
oh wait, no,
I just want to move on.
you mean the Lost Kingdom? Yeah, no, screw that one. I thought you meant the Wooded Kingdom for a second.
Wait, did you? I thought she meant the Wooden Kingdom, and I was kind of agreeing.
I hope not.
Oh,
I love the Wooden
I
Kingdom.
love the Lost
The
Kingdom.
one with the robots, right?
Yeah, the robot ones.
Yeah, that's the Wooden Kingdom.
It's just it's kind of a pain to navigate at first. Once you sort of get a feel for everything, it's better, but it is like a little bit more spread out and like chunked off. I mean, I still liked it, but it's definitely not one of my favorites. But yeah,
I do know
it's
what
a
you mean.
very good video game. And I think we can move on after saying that it's a very good video game.
Well, do we want to talk about it more in depth later or now? Because there is something.
No, we're gonna circle. Well, it's all I have to talk about games I've been playing, Branclif.
Okay, all
Because
right, I
it's
get
all the video game I've been playing for the past
All the
2.5
video
weeks. Or however
It's
long
okay,
I've had
Jetty.
this
I
one.
understand.
So that's what we sort of think about. So I tried to talk about the ones that we've, at least two of us have played.
Yeah.
But we'll hit upon other ones as we sort of continue our discussion about the Switch. But so let's talk about the Switch as a console, and sort of the main thing there being you can put it on a TV or you can put it not on a TV. How's that been for you guys?
One thing
Very good.
Neat.
One thing I do want to say about it is it's hard to say whether or not it will fit in your pocket. I think it does for some people and doesn't for others. So if you want to play it around a lot, that's something you might want to think about.
You need really big pockets.
That's why you buy a case for it.
I put it in my
That's-
backpack.
Like, I have a case for mine, so if I ever want to
As a
move it
girl,
around,
I don't know what
One of
pockets
my
are,
friends has a big
apparently.
like, suitcase case for it. He carries it around like he's a lawyer or
Business.
something. Just like, oops,
Don't.
let's play some
Don't mind
Switch,
me.
baby.
But so like, I mean, I like almost immediately the first couple days I played it, like I played it immediately on the TV because I wanted to play Mario Odyssey in all its glory. And then I went on a bus ride for like a school thing, like a school trip, to the local Comic-Con. And
What school trip is that?
That is an awesome trip.
I have a friend who is in a class that was talking about like fan culture and stuff. They were doing a section on that, and so they went to the local Comic-Con, which is very small compared to like big Comic-Con that you would really think of. It was a pretty small thing, but it was like a 2-hour bus ride there, and so I played Switch on the way. So I played Mario Odyssey on the Switch in the bus, and that was fun. And then I was talking to someone about playing Mario Odyssey, and they were like, well, what about this thing in Mario Odyssey? What about this thing in Mario Odyssey? And then I said, why don't I just literally show you? And I just pull it out, and we were at lunch, and I just put it on the table. I was like, here, this is the video game. You can see it now.
It's a very good video game.
It's a very good video game.
It is.
Like immediately, like all of those things were relevant, and I wasn't even playing multiplayer game. I mean, you can kind of do multiplayer with Mario Odyssey, but not really.
It's kind of
It's kind
It
of like
sucks.
this, almost the same two-player kind of feel. Well, to me, it reminded me of what they did with Mario Galaxy, where one person gets the star bits, and the
That's
other
it.
person
You know,
The other person
it does
plays
more
the
than just
game.
that. Well, you do more than just that. Well, so can you in Mario Galaxy. I mean, a moot point, but I mean, you could stun enemies.
you could
with the
shoot
cursor.
a star and you can collect
too.
stars, and I think that's it, right?
You can stun
Yes.
enemies.
Stunning enemies, which actually would prove useful, but anyway.
What I want to know is what happened to Luigi.
L is real 2401.
Like what the hell? You have this second player option. Why don't you just do like what the Lego games do, where you can add in a second player, and then if they go too far from each other, you just split screen it.
I feel like that would take a lot of processing power, though. Like
If the Lego games can do it, I'm sure Mario
Well, because
Odyssey
here's the
can
thing,
do it.
Mario Odyssey is very conservative about how much of the game it shows you. Like, it's got that weird fade-in thing where it's, I don't know if you've noticed, but like, it doesn't just like, it's got like this weird grid pattern to it. Has anyone else noticed that?
Oh, you mean like when you zoom in too close to an object and it has like those circles?
The draw
Yeah.
distance.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
It's
Yeah.
got that, and it's very, like, you'll see, like, it fades things in and out, like, as they go into your draw distance. And so I think with 2 players, it wouldn't be able to do that, and I think that's one, being able to do that and only have certain areas loaded very specifically based on where you are is a big portion of why the game can even run.
I mean, also too, I know in like Breath of the Wild sometimes there are like some hiccups. Like, although the Switch is a good, console, there are some times in games where it kind of chugs a little bit. But I mean, it's still good.
So what I'm saying though is that having a second player who could be in a completely different location would probably just be too taxing on the hardware.
Right.
You can get his clothes.
Yeah, you can just dress up as Luigi.
It's not the same.
This is also true. It is not the same.
Have Mario cosplay as his brother. That's creepy.
Though speaking of outfits in Mario Odyssey, I absolutely adore Bowser's costume.
Oh.
He looks so dapper. I love it.
He's very dapper.
I really liked his hat. The way they
Yes.
used the hat in the game, I thought that was really creative.
They do a lot of stuff, well, naturally with hats in the game. Like, I spazzed out the first time, like, when you're first getting into the game and it's, like, telling you how to do things like, oh, like, you can do this if you do that. And I, like, saw a checkpoint, and I saw a bird just sitting on the flag, and I'm like, oh my god, it has a hat on it? That's adorable.
I love how the Goombas in different kingdoms will wear different hats, although they don't really serve much purpose because you hit them and the hat falls off and then you just hit them again. It doesn't make them any more challenging, but I do like it stylistically. It's really creative.
I was actually a little worried that, like, because there's they showed in the trailer that, like, oh, if it has a hat, then you can't just capture it right away. And I was concerned that they were going to make it really restrictive. Like, it was going to be like, oh, literally all the enemies have these hats that you can't knock off. And so only every once in a while you'll be able to actually capture something because they want to keep it really controlled. But no, like, most of the stuff that all of the enemies, pretty much, you can capture. And if they have hats, that usually just means that you have to hit them twice. And so that's a little bit harder. But there's... Like, Mario Odyssey is very much like yes, you want to do that, go right ahead. It might not be a good idea, but go for it, man. And the only people that you can't capture are just, like, story people or NPCs that you really have no business messing around with.
It super bothers me how every single person in New Donk City has a hat. It's like, no, not everyone wears hats.
Okay, that is true. Not everyone wears hats, but I do like... When I found the one person I could capture, I thought that was really cool. And then I tried using the RC car, and I gave up because it's too hard.
God, I hate that car so much.
Okay,
I hate it.
I know there's people who are listening to this that have no idea what I'm talking about. And actually, maybe this won't be the best explanation, but there's a dual minigame in Mario Party 6 where you play a car with tractor wheels, and you control the left wheels with the left stick, and the right wheels with the right stick. And that's basically what the RC car is in Super Mario Odyssey.
I was always bad at that minigame,
No,
too.
that's
I
not...
just-
So it makes
Wait a
sense.
minute. Branclif, I might have discovered why you're having so much trouble, because that's not how it works at all.
Was it the front and back? What? How did it work?
It's all perspective. So the idea is that the car turns when you go left or right. It's based on the perspective of the car, but you have a fixed perspective. It's like another
I'm
game in
using
Mario
jump
Party
controls.
6 or maybe 7. The Kart one, like the racetrack that you go around is like almost exactly the same thing as that one minigame, which is why I was so good at it, because I've done that exact control style so many times. But if you're using the right stick and expecting anything to happen, that might be your problem.
I'm impressed that you had an explanation and was still able to tie it back to Mario Party somehow.
It was
Bravo,
it's
that
just
was
like
actually
a different
really
Mario
slick.
Party game.
Of course, that's the one that I haven't played.
We were not supposed to go back to Mario Odyssey yet, though, so maybe we should.
Gosh darn.
Oh,
Maybe you can just, like, grab a chunk
It'll be
of
fine.
audio and then just kind of slide it over to the end.
It's fine. So, like, playing the Switch out and about, because, I mean, docked mode is pretty self-explanatory. I think everyone has a use for docked mode, which, if you don't know, docked mode is when you can put the Nintendo Switch and connect it up to the TV versus taking it out of the dock and playing it on the screen there. So, what about the rest of you guys? Like, have you taken it out, or have you mostly just kept it at home?
I don't go anywhere. I go to work and I come home.
So when you play it at home, do you usually play it docked, or do you take it out and like play it in bed?
I usually play it in bed because I have like several different things hooked up to my TV, and it would be kind of a pain to keep unplugging and plugging it back in. So I usually just play it in bed while watching YouTube on my TV.
Efficient.
I like it a lot better, I think, this way, because since the game I play most is Stardew Valley at the moment, it's a lot easier for me to see on the smaller screen, because I just can't see either. I like handhelds a lot more, I think I'm discovering, so I think that's most of the reason I like it better undocked. Plug in and unplug it.
So I usually use my Switch on a table, and it works, but the stand that pops out on the back of it, it's not very good. It will
No,
work
it's not.
if the table or whatever surface you use it on is completely flat, but if it is not, it will not work.
It is very finicky.
It also came off for
That's
me,
weird.
but I put it back on easily.
Oh no.
Oh god.
You already broke it.
Guys, it's
You
not that
broke
bad.
You broke a
I-
$300 piece of hardware. How do you feel?
I fixed it, and it didn't even involve tape.
I was about to say, did you use like duct tape? But then you said that, so
I kind of just slotted it back in, and it fit, so I hope it's fine.
That's probably fine.
yeah.
So now we can talk about the controllers.
Yeah, I like the controllers for the most part. Doing them
Yeah.
by them, like doing one by itself, I didn't really like for Mario Odyssey, but I think that's just because the game is very much designed around having both, and so like camera controls and all that. But I mean, like, they feel fine in my hand. I played Mario Odyssey with just them. I like being able to sort of rest my hands in whatever position I want, regardless. They don't have to be right next to each other, so I can just like lie down or like hold the controllers behind me as I play or whatever. I can sit in whatever position I
Same.
want, and it's cool. I like that. I kind of like that about the Wii too, but this is even more because they're not even like, if you have a nunchuck and a Wii remote, they're not even like connected to each other by a wire. Like you can literally put your hands wherever
Yeah.
you want, and it's pretty cool.
Right.
I really like playing with them not connected to the screen, but at the same time, I'd need to find a flat surface to place my Switch on
Right.
to do that. And that's kind of a pain because, like I said, I would rather just sit on my bed and play it. So I'd just be like putting it on my bed and staring down at it, further hurting my back.
Sometimes I just
Every
put it
day,
on
all
my
day.
my knees and hold my knees up like a back stand.
Yeah, I've tried doing that, and then like I have to move 30 minutes later, and it's like,
I hate
But
them.
I like that better. I also like the controller that it comes like the controller that it comes with.
Or the little.
You mean
The
like the thing
Joy-Cons on.
to insert the
Mhm.
Joy-Cons in?
Yeah,
I have not used that yet.
That's like that's how I play
I like it.
But I actually caved, and I bought a Pro controller
You bought the
today.
thing.
It's like
Yep, and I'm getting it in a
$70.
few
They
days.
were. She said they were on sale.
It is on sale right now on Amazon, which is why I bought it.
Not when this
I was
podcast
So-
comes
gonna
out,
say,
though.
did you buy it
Probably.
from work or?
Well, yeah, but
I might cave
What?
too, just because you said that. Anyways, go on.
I hear it's really nice. Like, it doesn't feel cheap when you hold it. It feels nice and sturdy, and I hear, like, the buttons are a little bit bigger.
Thank God.
So I'm, like, super
I think
excited
Cam
to
has
try
one
it
and he
out.
likes it a lot.
I didn't feel like the buttons really needed to be bigger, except for the minus
Oh.
button on the left Joy-Con. That is puny.
I mean, if you have small hands like me, it really doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, I have
But-
puny hands. I understand.
But people who are bigger and have bigger hands probably need bigger buttons.
Yeah, I am not a fan of the Joy-Con controllers at all, but I believe that's mainly due because I have big hands. So I feel like I'm pressing like every button at once when I'm tapping. when it
I
says
just
hit,
wanted to
hit-
jump.
hit X,
That was a really good tie-in.
hit X, boom, and it does like a million things that I can't handle. And honestly, I think the buttons are really stiff. personally, especially the joysticks. I feel like they're very constrictive with how they move and whatnot. But since the controllers are so small, the buttons can only be pushed down so far. So it just feels like, with the way the new iPhone is, it just feels like a click, but it doesn't feel like you're pushing it down at all. It
Right.
feels very awkward the way it handles for me.
Yeah, I can see that. It definitely, like, when I'm pushing down, like, all, like, there's no need to push harder. Like, it doesn't do anything, and it doesn't do anything on any other console, as far as I know. Pushing the button harder doesn't make you jump better. But, like, sometimes you get into it. Like, I was playing the bounding race thing in Mario Odyssey.
Ugh.
And, like, my thumb did start hurting after a while because I was mashing that B button to bounce, and very frustrated that it wasn't working the way I wanted it to. So that, I can sort of see, like, there's definitely not a whole, like, the difference between pushing and not pushing is kind of small. And so if you're used to getting a little more give, it can definitely feel uncomfortable. But I think I got used to it. With Mario Odyssey in particular, it's nice because most of the time you're doing these really light, like, taps, sort of, and you need to, like, quickly go from button to button and, like, do like, quick taps because of, like, all the different little controls that you can do. So I liked it in that, but yeah, I can see what you're saying.
I want to talk about the Joy-Cons on I guess a technical level. One thing that's really neat about these is that since they're wireless, they have battery life, I guess. But unlike the Wii controllers, I feel like these things just don't die. But maybe that's because when you attach them to your Switch, which, by the way, it makes the noise that it does in Switch trailers, and I think that's a really cool detail. But
It's the most satisfying thing.
yes, it is. But when you attach your Joy-Cons to your Switch, I think that the Joy-Cons kind of like siphon energy out of the Switch itself to keep themselves
do.
alive.
Yeah.
And it sounds weird, but it's also cool because it means that these things basically never die, or at least they never have for me. I don't know about you guys.
It's funny that you mentioned that. One of the Joy-Cons actually does lose power a lot faster than the other one. I think it's the left one uses more power at a time than the right one. And I don't understand, I don't know why, and it's weird because, like, why would one Joy-Con lose power faster than the other one?
Probably has more gyroscopes or something inside of it.
Maybe. But I always thought that was funny because, like, it's like, oh, battery low. I'm like, what do you mean battery low? And I, like, checked. I'm like, oh, just the left one. But the right one's fine. Okay.
Oh, I also want to talk about the screenshot and record button. It's so cool. You can just press it and it takes a screenshot. But if you hold it down, it makes a recording of the last 30 seconds of whatever you were doing. So you can't, like, record your entire playthrough of a game using it or anything. But it's really cool if you just did something really awesome and you weren't expecting to have done that, and then you want to share it with people. It's surprisingly handy.
Like that horse thing I mentioned earlier.
Did you record that? Because I want
did
to...
record that.
Can we get that in the show notes? I want that in the show notes.
I did get that on... It's on my Twitter.
Yes.
I put it on there.
We'll figure out somewhere to put it so that you all can see it.
Yeah, I want to see.
Can I tell a fun Twitter story? It's not about me.
Go for it.
But, okay, so my favorite thing that happened, like, after the press conference where the Switch was, like, fully announced in January, there were at least two YouTubers that I, like, got to go and interview CEO of Nintendo America.
Reggie.
And,
Reggie.
Yeah.
Reggie.
That was, Pro Jared and the Completionist.
I love them.
And
Pro Gerard, the finishist.
right? But Pro Jared's wife Heidi took a picture of the Joy-Cons in his hands, and she said the Joy-Cons fit in at Pro Jared's Yowie hands.
Oh.
Wow.
It was really funny to me.
Continuing on from the control methods, what do you guys think about HD Rumble?
Oh.
I like it.
I didn't get to use it.
It's really cool, but I only have one example of experiencing it, and as you can probably guess, it was in Odyssey.
Yeah, it's all over Odyssey. The HD rumble is in like
Really?
everything that's happening. Like you jump in the water and it goes brrr. You get near the ship, it goes brrr. You get on top of a
Really?
secret, it goes brrr.
You go
Why?
in one of those hidden rooms where you're supposed to dig up the power moon, and it goes brrr, but it brrrs harder the closer you get to it, and it's actually pretty cool.
Can we coin this term?
What?
Brrr.
I like it. I don't remember how it's used in Breath of the Wild because I haven't played it in a few days. But in Stardew Valley, I like it a lot when it rumbles when you're fishing, and when you get a fish,
Oh, that sounds
It'll-
really handy.
it'll rumble. It's actually really nice because I can't see half the time, so I can't see the yellow exclamation point go over top of my farmer's head. So that's nice. Also, when you get hit by an enemy, I'm trying to think of any other uses. I haven't found any that
So, like, it doesn't do it when you, like, use tools or something?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I could be wrong because I might not have noticed it because that's just how oblivious I can be.
There is a point where you kind of get used to it, and you just forget it's
Mhm.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just becomes like one of the ways you sense the game. Yeah, I found like a lot of the time like I was using it just in my general moving around Mario Odyssey without really realizing that I was using it, and it just became like I found things where I was like it vibrated and I just like went to go look and see what was up with that without thinking like, "Oh, hey, that's a mechanic that I'm using." It just felt like, oh, if I like, I was just like, I felt a vibration and I naturally went over to where the vibration was.
That's the
Yeah.
word, natural. It feels so natural. It just flows really well, and you just get used to it.
It has become your
Hey, Colee.
it has become your
Hey.
Switch sense.
It does. I'm actually playing it right now.
Oh,
It
it does.
does.
Cool.
It does rumble when you use like the axe and the hoe, and also I think the pickaxe. Yes, only a little bit though.
So okay, let's new next up on the docket, not the Switch docket, just in general. What were some questions that you had about the Switch, or misconceptions maybe even, that were cleared up after owning? For me, I finally confirmed, yes, the screen is a touch screen. I didn't
Yes.
know that for
Ooh.
sure before, and I didn't think to test it out until like maybe day 3 when I had to enter in like a password to connect to my school's internet. And I was like, can I just tap this in with my fingers? And I did. It's like, I can. Cool.
That was actually my first instinct to like when I was inputting passwords and stuff.
So,
That was like my first instinct to try to see if it was a touch screen, and thank God it was.
Yeah, so that's good for like drawing games too. That like because those were like really big on the Wii U. It's like one of the
Does it not have a stylus?
No.
No, it doesn't.
no.
Ooh, that's gonna be tough for drawing games. That means they could sell a new pen accessory.
Yeah.
I know that they do like selling their accessories.
you could probably also just
Yes.
use one that works. Like I'm sure like you might not necessarily have to buy a Nintendo brand stylus. There are probably styluses for, because
Like
it's got to be
tablets.
either pressure or capacitive, and there's styluses for both of those.
Yeah, wait, that's a question. Is it like a heat detected touchscreen like an iPhone is, or is it just like touch sensitive like a DS or the Wii U was?
I just tried touching my Switch with my DS stylus, and it is not detecting it at all. So it is probably the iPhone one.
Yeah, that sounds
it's
like
probably heat.
I think it's capacitive.
It's probably heat based too.
On the topic of things we found out about the Switch after owning one, I guess I'll say this because I said this in the GameCola chat and someone wasn't aware. It does still have friend codes. So if you want to add somebody by inputting...
Boo.
If you want to
You
add
don't-
someone by inputting what is now a 14-digit long code, you can do that. But you don't have to do it. There are other ways to add people.
Yep, if you have friends on other devices, you can do that too.
It'll also keep track of the people you recently played online with. It kind of like keeps a history of it, which is super cool. So-
The Wii U did that through Miiverse, which was interesting.
Rip Miiverse.
I'm so sad it's gone.
It was kind of like it was just me Facebook. That's
Well,
basically what it was.
It's like Club Penguin. We didn't care about it until it was gone. But now that it's gone, we're sad.
Speak for yourself. Branclif.
Gosh. I know that one person who's listening to this cares a lot about Club Penguin.
I care a lot about Club Penguin. Rip in peace.
Didn't you see the people that were speedrunning getting banned in Club Penguin?
Under 1 second. That is the best
I was
part.
just like, is this what we've become? That we're just trying to speedrun how fast it takes to get banned from something?
I'm not surprised it's a getting banned speedrun, but there are some wacky speedruns out there, like trying to 100% Animal Crossing for the game. Well, not really 100%, because catching all the however many fish would be impossible. No, it was speedrunning paying off the entire debt.
Oh, good lord.
You know what we need?
What?
Club Penguin on the Switch.
No.
Absolutely not.
Oh, that'd be so
I think
terrible in the
almost
best
Yeah, and
way.
when we put Club Penguin on it, we'll put Miiverse back on it too.
I will say, I am surprised at the kinds of things that they put on the Switch eShop. There were a lot of things that it's just like, I was not expecting that. Like I just looked, and this was not there the last time I checked. That's on the
That
Switch
is
now.
also
Yeah.
on Steam.
I'm just surprised. I just didn't expect it would be there.
Is there a correct way to pronounce that game?
I'm pretty sure it's just
No,
saying all the
V.
V's.
I'm sure if I
Yeah.
count out how many
That's
V's
literally
there
all you
are,
can do.
Six.
I can figure it out. But,
VVV.
like when I look at it with my eyes, it just kind of blends together.
Has anyone else bought any of those games that aren't like commercialized or anything, that are just on the eShop?
You mean
Or am I the only one?
indie? Octodad is on the eShop for the Switch.
Oh
That's
my god.
that's different. I did not expect that.
Is Goat Simulator on there?
The Goat Simulator is not on there. That would be wild, though.
I really
We
do
need
like
it.
the fact that they have this, because if you think about it, it adds a lot more content to like the Switch. Like, I bought a $5 game called Koi DX. I don't know if any of you had seen it on the eShop or have heard about it.
I probably scrolled by it at some point because I did look through the
It's
eShop.
got like koi fish on in the front.
The
The lily pad.
the Jackbox Party Pack is on the Switch. That's actually really cool.
I
That is
wonder
a
how
good
that
game to have
works
on it.
though, because like I don't know, like I feel like the internet experience with the rooms and stuff, where not everybody needs the game, is the main appeal of that, and so I don't know how that would work on a console.
I'm pretty sure Use Your Words is on Switch.
It is.
I love that game so much.
I'm just looking down the Switch eShop right now. There were a lot of surprises on here. Let's see, FIFA 18
And
is
a lot
here.
more to come, too.
I'm really excited for Octopath Traveler.
Yes!
It looks like a
Yes!
Final Fantasy game. I know it's by Square, so that's why. It looks really pretty.
They got the Bravely Default team for that one.
I'm very excited for that one.
That was one of the ones they showcased at E3, right?
I think so. I know nothing about E3.
They also had a demo for it that you could download, and then you'd play through it,
Yeah.
and then you'd fill out a survey to give to the devs, which is really interesting. I don't think it's still there, though.
Oh, maybe
Oh,
I
no,
will.
nope, it's still there.
No, the demo's still there. I checked a few days ago. I just didn't look at it yet.
So, I don't still have the article that I looked at this on, but apparently, the Switch has already sold 7 million units, which means it has sold half as many units as the Wii U has in its entire lifespan in less than a year.
And Christmas hasn't even happened yet.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
true.
Nope.
I don't know
That's
if that
insane.
speaks well for the Switch or speaks bad for the Wii U, and I think it could be both.
Yeah, both.
Yeah.
But
I think part of it, too, is a lot of people are kind of wary about it, and they're not, like, really sure. Like, I've heard some people who make comments like, oh, but the Switch is so expensive, and I look at them, I'm like, the Switch is the cheapest, AAA console on the market right now, right?
Yes.
They're like, oh, well, the games are expensive, too. I'm like, well, it's the same value as any other, AAA company's games at the moment, too. Like, $60 is just the going price for AAA games.
And the eShop
Accessories.
lets you look for discount games if you want.
Yep. And cheaper options, too.
Be smart. Shop smart. Shop as smart.
This, for the Switch's launch year, I feel like it was a really good launch year, and not just because, they made really good first-party games. I think we could all agree they made very good first-party games, but I feel like this is looking good for the Switch in the long term. Although a lot of these
Yeah.
indie games on the eShop, and I do love me some indie games, but a lot of these are kind of, I don't want to say nobody's because that's kind of mean, but games that I've definitely never heard of in my life and will probably never hear about again. So I think if we get some big name indie games up, that'd be cool. Oh, hey, The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth is on the eShop.
So there you go.
That's cool. I might pick
Mission
that up.
accomplished.
Well, what it needs is more like mainstream new ones. Not mainstream indie is redundant. Is not redundant. It's an oxymoron. But it needs high profile indie games that came at that aren't old, right? Like we're getting ports of old indie games onto the Switch, and what it really needs is
Fresh new
like
ones.
an indie game that got
Exclusives.
popular that's also on the Switch. So that's how people. It doesn't even necessarily have to be only on the Switch, but it just needs to be gain popularity on the Switch, because right now most of the indie games that are being played on the Switch are ones people are buying it for a second time. Like Stardew Valley, a lot of people have played Stardew Valley on the Switch, but those people
Right.
also bought Stardew Valley on PC. So, and I mean that works well for the Switch, but I think to really sort of sell it as a everything kind of console, it needs to carry an indie game while it's gaining popularity rather than take an old popular indie game and put it on there.
I will say this: if they put Cuphead on the Switch, I think that would be exactly that. But they probably won't do that.
They can't.
Figures.
Microsoft owns it.
Dreams crushed. Oh well.
The only thing I was gonna add when you made the comment about how many units the Switch has sold, I think that number would be higher if Nintendo actually planned for that, like they should have, and actually made more units off the bat. Because remember, when the Switch first came out, it's hard. It was hard to find. You just could not get a Switch. It was really difficult because when they stores would finally get shipments of them, they would just fly off the shelves and then Nintendo was like, oh gee, they're all gone. Guess we gotta make more.
Here's the thing, though.
Nintendo's been doing
Colee.
that a lot.
But even that, let's talk about the Nintendo Wii for a second. Because when the Switch was running out of stock, it was for a bit, and you could wait a while and get it online. When Nintendo Wii came out, it was months before new stock came in. It was a crazy amount of time when the Wii. I remember people were complaining about not being able to get a Wii for a really long time. With the Switch, it had its initial release, but then after the first month or so, you could you might have to wait a couple days, but you could get it within a week. I mean, your mileage will vary based on region. Obviously, there were some places where it was impossible, and some places where people probably never felt like there was a shortage. It depends on your region some. But the in terms of other console releases by the Switch, I think by Nintendo, I think this has actually been pretty good. And releasing it in March instead of releasing it in the holiday season, and so now getting the holiday season stock in is probably good. And it's better to have that lack of it during the spring and summer than during Christmas times and other holidays, other
True.
gift-giving holidays.
I actually kind of want to know from you guys, do you know what it was like and how hard it was to get a Switch in your region? Because I actually live in the same town as Nintendo of America, so getting a Switch was pretty easy, but I don't know what it was for you guys. I'd also like to add on, while the Wii's shortage was really bad, it did sell more than its competition, so it's not something that would be impossible to recover from.
True. That is very true.
At the time when it came out, I lived in a smaller town, a smaller middle of nowhere type place with a university that had a lot of nerdy people and one Walmart. So it was harder to get one for around where I lived at the time. But now that I'm back home in a more suburban area, it was still pretty hard to find one in a local Target or something. I mean, it wasn't. It was I'm trying to think. Over the summer, it was a little hard too, but it wasn't as bad. Like to get one from GameStop, even. But that was like 6 months ago. Not even like 5 months ago. But now it's like 10 times better. And I don't know how non-GameStops are with having it in stock, but it's easier now to get it.
So we're coming up at the end of the podcast time. So why don't we go through and do the they'll probably still be Switch themed to a certain extent because I imagine the games we've been playing, which is the segment we're about to do, are mostly Switch games. So why don't we just start in reverse order than we were introduced? That's me. I haven't played Super Mario Odyssey. I usually go last, so that's why I'm going first this time.
It's so good.
It's a very good
It's
video
so
game.
good.
I am about, I think, 7/8 through the game now, if you're counting like all of the moons, which are the power stars in Mario Odyssey. If you're doing that, then I'm about 7/8 of the way through the game. I'm getting close, but it's been a lot of fun. It's definitely either rank 1 or rank 2 of the Mario, like 3D Marios for me.
Agreed.
My rankings, in case you're curious, are 1 and 2 are Odyssey and Mario Galaxy, and I'm still trying to figure that out. Number 2 is Super Mario Galaxy. Number 3 is Super Mario Galaxy 2, then Sunshine, then 64, and that's just me personally. But so it's sitting up in that weird. It's at least sitting up in that weird space between Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. And I just need to replay Mario Galaxy 1 and see sort of where I stand on that, because that one has a lot of nostalgia that I need to look through and sort of judge. They're also pretty different games. Like of the 3D Marios, Mario Galaxy 1 and Odyssey are probably the most dissimilar in what kind of game they're trying to be.
Can agree.
So that also makes it a little hard to compare. Oddly, Super Mario Galaxy 2 is actually, like, having just replayed Super Mario Galaxy 2 before getting Mario Odyssey, it's actually trying to do, like, a lot of things that Mario Odyssey ended up doing. But Mario Galaxy 2 is very bad at it because the underlying game structure does not lend itself to exploration at all, even though it's got that stupid green stars thing at the end of the game, which is basically the same sort of thing as Mario Odyssey, except you're playing in linear levels, so it's not fun to explore. What do
You
mean,
have to
this
go travel
argument
through
again?
the level you've already done, but that you've already done it, and then it's not actually different in any way.
Doesn't every Mario game do that?
Not like Mario Galaxy 2. I don't know necessarily.
I would agree with
Well, like,
that.
because like there's the comets in Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 where you replay the level with a twist. That's different. This is literally you play through the
Right.
exact same level, but like only a third of it, and then you get the star and you finish. You have to start over, go through and get the second green star, and then go through and get the third green star.
It's like hide and seek green stars.
But it's not fun. Mostly because
No.
the levels are all the linearly structured, so it's not like you're really exploring around. It's like you're literally just playing part of the level, stopping, starting over, playing 2/3 of the level, stopping, starting over.
Then there's also Super Mario 3D Land and 3D World, where you basically have to backtrack to the levels that you played just to discover more secrets because you got new abilities later on in that game.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
I know that you get the secret character in 3D World, but other than that, I'm not sure.
I mean, don't you get the super powered leaf, like Tanuki leaf later on, and then you use that to like make a hole in the earlier levels, and then that gives you like
I thought
I
they
don't
only gave
remember
it
that.
something.
I don't remember. I mean, you might be right. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I did 100% Mario, the 3DS Mario Land, and I don't remember doing that.
I could be getting my games mixed up.
I thought they only gave the golden leaf to you when you kept dying over and
No,
over
this
again.
is different.
No,
this
no,
is
no.
a different. I know that there's a different leaf that you get later in the game, which gives you the more full Tanuki suit power, where you can turn into a statue.
Yeah, that's
What game am I thinking of then? Huh.
I mean, there's also the golden Tanuki suit in 3D Land as well, but
Yeah.
that's also different. There's many Tanuki suits in 3D Land. That's kind of its thing. Which,
Yeah.
just minor spoiler for Mario Odyssey, the tree from Mario 3D Land is in the final area, and it's spoilers if you don't want one of the final areas. Don't listen for like 2 minutes if you don't want this spoiled. The Peach's Castle Mushroom Kingdom level, the tree from the thing is there. The Mario 3D Land raccoon tail tree, Tanuki tail thing is there. It's one of the stars.
But can you get the Tanuki suit?
No, you can't get the Tanuki suit, but you can
Then what's the
interact with the tree and get a star. And it's just cool. I was like, wow, that's a weirdly obscure reference to go for there, but I appreciate it.
I will say the point in not getting the Tanuki suit is that so that you have more time to appreciate your Mario fashion skills, especially since you get what many people consider to be the best clothes in that kingdom. I feel like we may as well just have a spoiler tag for the rest of the podcast that's about Odyssey, because oh my god, I could talk about that kingdom for hours. It's beautiful.
So I think that's, enough Odyssey out of me. I'll probably talk about Mario Odyssey a lot in the coming months.
Wait. What? Quick question about Odyssey. How big is New Donk City?
New
pretty
Donk City?
big.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Yeah,
big.
there's a lot to do.
Yeah, New Donk City is one of the big levels. There's like big levels and small levels. Where like there's about twice as much content in some levels versus others. So it's a way to sort of pace it so that you don't get stuck in like big area after big area. So they kind of alternate it.
Yeah, some of the areas only have 50
it's
kingdom
pretty big,
coins.
and it's a good level. There's lots of like free running, like hop up the buildings and move around the city in lots of fun ways. So it's a pretty good level. John, what video games have you been playing in recent times? And you're probably one of the only people who might not only have Switch games to talk about.
I've been playing Lego Marvel's Avengers lately because
For a second, I thought you said Lego Marbles, and I was like, that is a strange crossover.
I have money, and I am willing to put said money on that crossover.
Yeah, it's a Lego game. It's an open world Lego game, which is fun. You get to fly around as Iron Man and basically any other obscure Marvel character you can think of that's not an X-Men character, because Marvel doesn't like the X-Men lately.
I thought they lost the rights to like certain medias.
They don't have the movie rights to the X-Men.
Ooh, ouch.
So, and now since Disney now owns Marvel, they're being stingy about it. Well, if we can't make movies about them, we'll just cancel their comic series and not put them in anything else.
Ooh, ouch again.
Yeah, they're mean. They're mean. But yeah, the game's fun. So if you don't want to play as characters like Wolverine or Storm, you can pick Speed and Hellcat, if you're familiar with them, which I doubt only 2% of the population is.
That just went completely over my head. Like,
Yep,
I almost thought that was a Sonic Forces, like, you can create your own character thing. That's how obscure it was to me.
Yeah, nope. It's weird. But yeah, that's fun.
Colee, what games are you playing?
On Switch or 3DS?
Either, both, all.
Any.
Or both. Okay. Well, I don't know if any of you here are Pokemon fans,
Yes.
but Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon came
Yes.
out recently, and I have been playing that whenever I'm not at work.
It's also so good.
And I absolutely love it. Like, people were skeptical, like, even including myself. I'm like, I'm not gonna get Ultra Sun and Moon, it's just gonna be like the exact same thing. But they actually do readjust the story a little bit, so it is a bit different. They've added a ton of Pokemon, so it's not just the same ones that you saw in Sun and Moon. They added a lot more.
On
so
a
that-
scale of Crystal to Black and 2 and White 2, how different is it?
I'm not really familiar with Black and White,
They're
so
like
I really
different
can't
games
say.
with like completely different stories. Like the setting is the same, but like the story is completely different, and they're like really sequels, and you're not retreading
It's
anything.
not like... It's not completely different. It's like, you follow the same thing. Like, they readjusted a couple things, but the main story is, like, basically the same. and I haven't finished it yet because they added a really cool thing into Ultra Sun and Moon, where, I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with Sun and Moon, but you go through, like, wormholes, but you don't, like, it's, oh, you enter, and here's another cutscene of you going through a different one. But in this one, you can actually control through the wormhole. And there are a ton of different ones, like there are electricity balls that you have to dodge, there are like light rings that you have to get so you can keep moving and stuff like that. It's a really cool addition to the game in my opinion.
Please tell me it doesn't use the same controls as Mantine Surf.
At first, the default controls are actually tilt controls.
Oh.
But you can change that. And I did the second that I got out of there. I'm just like, I asked my boyfriend, I'm like, okay, where did you say I could change my controls? Because I'm not using tilt controls. It's a nightmare.
As soon as you said tilt, I just thought like, oh no, you did what I told you to, but made it even worse.
Mario Kart Deluxe meme, I'm using tilt controls.
I know for a fact that it's more different at the end, in regards to Ultra Sun and Moon. It's more different at the end. It seems a lot of the differences are in the post-game, but I haven't gotten that far either. I'm getting walled off at the grass trial because the Totem Lurantis hasn't answered all of my Pokemon.
Oh my god, no.
You too?
Lurantis was actually pretty easy.
What?
No. I had problems with Marowak because of that damn Salazzle.
I have
I
no
use
idea what's
Popplio.
going on right now.
I use Popplio, so...
Oh, well then yeah, you were fine. I chose Rowlet as my starter this time around instead of Litten like I did in Pokemon Sun.
The Popplio, which I named after you, by the way, because I got the 1 in 8... So, in Pokemon games, you have a 1 in 8 chance of getting a female starter, and that just happened to me. I was going to name the starter after myself, but then I found out it's a grill, and it's like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. So now I have Colee the Brion.
It's me, Colio. We'll always tie back to Mario Odyssey. You cannot escape.
You know what? That is an acceptable change. I can accept every podcast ending up being about Odyssey in the end.
It was funny though, because like I actually haven't been playing my Switch terribly much recently. I mean, I've barely touched Breath of the Wild, and I really want to get more into it. I've pretty much beaten Mario Odyssey, and like Anna was bugging me. She's just like, "You didn't friend me yet." I'm like, "I'm sorry."
Be my friend.
You're not
It's
friends.
because like I had gotten so many games recently on my 3DS that it was just like, but I want to play my 3DS games. And
Just
then
go to your
wouldn't
house and be like, accept me.
accept me. Love me.
Witness me!
Yeah, pretty much. I do it.
Branclif, what games have you been playing in recent times?
Yes, so I will actually put the Switch games last because we've been talking about Switch the entire time. On my computer, I have been playing Dwarf Fortress. On my 3DS, I have been playing Pokemon Ultra Moon and getting walled off really early. Colee, did you think the early game was hard, or is it just me?
I think they added a little bit more of a challenge early game, because like there were parts that I got stuck at more and longer than previously. That was like blowing through it previously, like in Pokemon Sun, and then with Ultra Moon, it's just like, well, shit.
I don't know
Now what?
what they changed, but I burned through Moon, and then in Ultra Moon, I feel like I need to Roto Boost spam every boss battle.
I've never used one of those. I just have a giant pile of Rotom boosts just sitting in my bag.
It's
that
so
I just
it's
don't
so
use.
good. It increases all your stats by 50%.
And you're still having problems?
I haven't been getting as many Roto Boosts, and
Oh.
I think that for the grass trial, I want to do some level grinding before I hit the grass trial again. Oh yeah, and then on my Switch, I've been playing Mario Odyssey, the super good game, and Puyo
Who
Puyo
knew?
Tetris. Yeah, it's a surprise to everybody. It's a secret to everybody.
Especially us. So am I guessing we all give Mario Odyssey a 4 out of 10? Is that what I'm hearing?
I think you're giving it too much credit. I will actually... I think it is truly deserving of a 10 out of 10 from me, and that's because there's only one complaint I could think of through the entire game. And that complaint is that when you throw Cappy to one of those like scarecrow things that hold your hat for a while, there's is it a scarecrow?
Yes.
Well, there's one of those in the Wooded Kingdom, and you toss your hat to the scarecrow, and then a door opens up, and then you have to fight a fire bro. You know, they're like a hammer bro, but they spit fire. And when I did that, it dawned on me, I have no way to fight other than throwing hats and jumping. And it's weird because there's 2 throw buttons in this game, so I kind of wish they gave you like your Mario 64 kick combo, but I mean, it's a really small thing. That was the only time in the entire game I cared about that, and because of that I say 10 out of 10. Good game.
I thought some of the enemies that they added were like cool, because they did add like some new enemies, like, okay, you know the hammer bro that like throws a frying pan?
The pan bro?
I call him Pammer bro.
Pammer bro.
And I love him. It is so great.
Actually, no, there is one other thing that I think about. I'm surprised we haven't said anything about this. The motion controls in this game. And I know that when people hear motion controls, they suddenly panic. I will say, you can play this game completely without motion controls. But for some reason, there are some moves that are kind of locked behind motion controls. Like, if you've captured a Cheep Cheep and you want to attack, you have to shake the Joy-Cons, which isn't really that bad. You can play the game without motion controls, but some of the actions that are locked behind motion controls, I found a bit weird because I usually played Odyssey with my Joy-Cons attached to my Switch, and I was thinking I do not want to flick my controllers up when they are attached to the Switch. That sounds like an easy way for me to break it, but you can play without them, so I guess it's fine. And I think the Cheep Cheep being unable to attack unless you use motion controls, I think that's the most glaring of the motion controls issues, and even then, it's not like you're playing as a Cheep Cheep very often anyway, so I still say it gets a pass.
I love the Cheep Cheep, though. Honestly, that's like one of my favorite things, because I usually hate water levels, because, let's be honest, like, for example, in Sonic games, the noise it makes when you're drowning gives me anxiety.
Exactly.
And I don't like that, so I hate water levels so much. But being able to control the Cheep Cheep makes it so there's no anxiety, because I can breathe underwater and it not be a problem. And it's like, honestly, like, Lake Kingdom was probably like my favorite kingdom.
Really?
Because I loved being able to swim around as the Cheep Cheep. I just thought everything looked so cool, and it was just something that was different. Usually you don't get to go underwater like that. I don't know, in my opinion, in like a lot of Mario games, that isn't really something you do very often.
I also want to add that when you've captured a Cheep Cheep, you're not slow, and that's another thing that sucks about water levels in general. Being slow in water levels is the worst. But when you're playing as a Cheep Cheep, it's fine.
You can also, in Mario Odyssey, you can long jump underwater, sort of. If you do the long jump command, you do like basically an underwater dash stroke, where it has the same thing where if like you run into a wall, you'll be like stunned for a bit, but you can move a lot faster doing that.
On the topic of Odyssey controls, one more thing, although maybe this is a weird time for it. I found it weird that in order to do the dive command, it was hold Z, L, and Y, and it was weird because I grew up with Mario Sunshine, and in that game how it worked was you just jump and press B. But it's weird in this game.
The way it works is you interrupt your ground pound, so you have to press.
Yeah.
It says to do it at the same time, but that's not what you do. You press the ground pound button, Z, L, and you don't have to hold it, I don't think. Maybe you do. I don't remember. But you press it and then press Y after that, and then you'll do the dive.
It's a weird change, especially since I'm used to Mario Sunshine.
But I think you can do it in any point of the ground pound. You don't have to do it, like, you can do it after you've already started going down.
Yeah.
At any point while you're ground pounding, you can press Y and you'll dive.
And also, if you haven't played it, for the viewers, it's also cool because it gives you just a little bit of height for some reason, so sometimes it lets you barely make jumps you usually would not be able to.
Now, trick jumping in Mario Odyssey is my favorite thing.
Yes, so much fun.
Should we just call this podcast Super Mario Odyssey Review?
No, Colee and I still need to get on that.
On what?
On Odyssey. We want to write an article about it. I think we want to.
Yes.
We'll do it. We'll do it. In fact, let's talk about a time that we can talk about it after the podcast.
Anna, so that we can end the podcast. Because we're coming up on a lot of time now. Anna, what video games have you been playing in recent times? Perhaps even current times?
Stardew Valley on both my computer and Switch, Breath of the Wild. I've been playing the Animal Crossing Pocket Camp a little bit.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Is it good?
It's okay. It's okay.
That's what I heard.
I think the decision to put Animal Crossing on mobile was really good, because oftentimes with playing Animal Crossing, since it's such a big commitment, and then you think, like, later, oh man, I want to get on Animal Crossing, but I don't really want to get it out. But when you put it on the phone, it's not like that anymore.
Yeah. I wish it was more of a regular Animal Crossing game. That's my only complaint so far. It's okay. I've also been playing something called Tiny Bird Garden, where it's basically Neko Atsumi, but with birds. And it's really cute.
Do you think Diana would like it?
Maybe.
I know Diana likes birds.
What's Neko Atsumi for those of us who don't know what that is, and so it doesn't help?
It is a cat collector.
Yes.
On your phone.
Oh my god.
Cats just come and eat your food. Not your food, but the food that you put out for them. And they play with the toys you leave for them, and then they leave you fish, which you can use to buy other toys for them.
What if you collect the fish too?
No, there's only two kinds of fish.
It's just really cute.
And then
it's
Tubbs comes.
All cute. And then Tubbs comes and eats all of your food, and you just go, God damn it, Tubbs, I left that food out like 2 seconds ago.
Oh, Tubbs, you're wonderful, and also the worst.
Then you have to put out more food because his fat ass just came and ate all of it. But, I feel like that's it. Yeah, I've been meaning to, play more games, but I get tired, and then I play Stardew Valley more, and then I go to sleep. Because, like, if you ever listen to the game soundtracks, like, constantly, it makes you want to play these games again. And then you just don't do it. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
What's everyone's favorite Odyssey Kingdom?
Oh, get the hell
I
out.
don't play the game.
What's everyone's favorite video game that's called Mario Odyssey? Mine's Mario Odyssey.
It's a valid question, though. I want to know what you guys' favorites are.
I think we should start wrapping things up now that we finished games we've been playing. So thank you for listening to the Mario Oh, wait, did you have something you wanted to say?
I just want to say that since I haven't played Mario Odyssey yet, Super Mario Galaxy 2 is still better.
Then Mario Odyssey, I will fight you.
I will also fight you.
Joe fights everyone.
But I will not fight you at the
Fights.
I will not fight you at the same time as Joseph is fighting you, because that would be rude.
I will
Let's
take
go.
you and James on at the same time. That Mario Galaxy 2 is inferior to Mario Galaxy 1 and Odyssey.
Ooh.
Debate Cast
Debate
2018.
cast? Yes.
I will take both of you on. Both of you, v me.
Let's
2v1 me.
go.
I'll do it.
I feel like
I want to hear this happen just so that I can hear the first argument be, but it has Yoshi in it.
No.
Crossing that off my pros list. Right
No, Yoshi is. I have a whole paragraph about Yoshi, but we need to end this podcast. So thank you for listening to the Super Mario Odyssey podcast, otherwise known as the GameCola podcast. If you liked what you heard and you want to hear more from us, be sure to check out our actual internet website, GameCola.net, where we have other podcasts. In fact, if you want to check out and compare when we last year when we were talking about the Switch, when we didn't even know what it was really going to be, you can go to podcast number 103 and check that one out. I think it was still called it had just been revealed to be called the Nintendo Switch and from the NXT or whatever. So yeah, you can go check that out, or you can check out different reviews that we've done on the site and other content there. You can also check us out on YouTube, gc.net, the letter G, the letter C, the word dot, and the word net, and you can see various playthroughs by us. I think Valhalla is still being uploaded right now. Is Valhalla still going on?
Valhalla is still going on. We have one episode left before like Cam needs to upload more, but otherwise, yeah, it should still be going for a good amount of time still, because we still have a little bit left to record. We were supposed to record yesterday, but I got lazy and didn't do a thing I was supposed to do.
So be sure to check out stuff there. You can also follow us on social media, right, Anna?
We have Facebook and Twitter, GameCola. It's good time. It's where all of our articles get posted when the same day that they're posted on our actual internet website. They go up at 2 p.m. Eastern on our Facebook and Twitter pages if you want to catch them there.
You can also follow us on twitch.tv/GameCola for any live streams that we might do. And be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and rate us highly. Give us a review and 5 stars. I think that still does stuff. Like, I think it is it is not a commonly used feature for even like popular podcasts. But like really, like it would help us out a lot to give us a rating and a comment, or even just share the podcast with your friends if you think they like it. If you think they're interested in the Nintendo Switch and want to hear about it, send this podcast this way, or any podcast that you think your friends might enjoy. Because sharing word of mouth is really the best way that you can help us here at GameCola.net. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed listening about the Nintendo Switch and Mario Odyssey, because that's pretty much all that you got to this month. We'll have something different next month for you if this wasn't your cup of tea. Thank you. Have a wonderful day or night or whatever time of day of it is where you are, and see you next month. Goodbye.
Bye.
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 Are we going to talk about how we use the controller at all? Because, if so, I'll wait on my comment, but I don't know. Hello?
Hi.
Hello.
You're back.
Hey.
Hello.
Oh my gosh, I was talking so much and no one was saying anything.
Usually how it goes.